pushing, baby. This is J. Lou, and welcome to the Big Three and Beyond. What's going on? H-Town. H-Town, stand up. H-Town, how we feeling? What a perfect weekend. Maybe I'm going to turn this mic up just a little bit. H-Town, how we feeling out there? Does that sound better? H-Town, 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 H-Town. That's probably a little better. Put a little bit more of a high EQ on there. So, what a perfect weekend. Starting with the Texans playing their usual Saturday playoff game, the first game. That seems to be our slot. I don't really care. Us being in the playoffs is amazing. So us winning, and not just beating the Browns, but the way we just took care of business and we basically blew them out. But that's just part of what made this such an awesome weekend for Texans fans. The Cowboys, where you at, Cowboys fans? I'm not going to try to talk too much shit, but you know what? I thought this was going to be y'all's year again. I even put it on my FB. This is our year again. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. But you can't even get past the Green Bay Packers, who was a 7 seed at home. You let Jordan Love sling that ball all over the field against your defense. And then once they started running the ball, they could not slow down that running game. Y'all were in trouble. So the combination of, obviously the big one is the Texans taking care of business and now being in the divisional round for the fifth time in the Texans history being in divisional round. But the Cowboys doing what the Cowboys always do. Wah wah. Ha ha. That's Nelson from The Simpsons. Ha ha. Anyways, what a freaking, oh my God. Such an awesome weekend, man. You know, our expectations got to keep changing. From the very beginning of this Texan season, because remember, we won 3 games last year, and yes, we had D'Amico Ryans. Looks like we had a real deal with the head coach, and obviously we were excited about CJ Stroud, but we didn't know what we really had. I did want CJ Stroud, but everybody was thinking, well, at least in reality, I'm talking even in Houston, even in H-Town, most people were like, yeah, they're going to win some more games this year. They'll probably win maybe 5 or 6 games this year. But nobody, let's be real. I've said this before on my other shows. Nobody really thought they were going to be in the playoffs, right? Or for that matter, win the AFC South. So as the season kept moving along, and they kept surprising us more and more throughout the season, our expectations had to change. First, like I said, it was us winning some more games. But then once we saw that there's something special about this kid, CJ Stroud. Not just C.J. Stroud, but obviously he's the big one. But these other players, these other young players that we drafted, and these other free agents that we picked up, like, we're not a bad team. Maybe a good team back, mid-season. But right now, we're one win away from being further than any Texan team has ever been in all of Texans history since the franchise started in 2002. This team has never been to an AFC championship. But right now, we're one win away from being there. We're either going to be playing in Baltimore or we're going to be playing in KC. They already got the day and time. We're going to be playing again Saturday at 3:30. So we're going to be playing Baltimore or we're going to be playing the Chiefs. Me personally, I know you're probably going to check out my video, Jerry, and I probably already told you, but I want the Chiefs. Give me Pat Mahomes. Give me them Chiefs. Because, yeah, they look fairly good against the Miami Dolphins, but we all knew the Miami Dolphins were going to be pretenders. They were pretenders. I said that toward the end of the season, even though they had a really hot start. I didn't, because they weren't beating any good teams. They beat the Dallas Cowgirls, but they're not the real deal. But I prefer playing KC, but I don't see it happening because I just don't see it happening. I don't see the Steelers beating Buffalo in Buffalo without one of their biggest playmakers on defense, T.J. Watt. Now, T.J. Watt got hurt the game before, so I just don't see it happening. And Buffalo's a very scary team. That's another team I really wouldn't want to play. But you know what? More than likely, we're going to be playing at Baltimore against Lamar Jackson. So let's do what we did like we did against Cleveland. We lost the first game against Cleveland, but obviously we didn't have C.J. Stroud. Now, we did have C.J. Stroud when we played Baltimore, because obviously that was the first game of the season. But that was C.J. Stroud's first game. I mean, not preseason. I'm talking regular season game. That was C.J. Stroud's first game. We knew it was going to take time. It's going to maybe take a half a season or whatever for him to really get going. But we saw it didn't take really a half a season. It took maybe the Baltimore game and the first half of the Colts game, and then we started seeing what this rookie C.J. Stroud is all about. So we're obviously not going to be favored in either matchup, whether we play Baltimore or KC. But I'll tell you what, we got something special going on. We got something special. We got something brewing here in H-Town. And I'm gonna say this, and I've said this before. If you checked out my shows in the past, I've never felt this good about the Texans ever. Even a decade ago, when we had Schaub and Arian Foster and Andre Johnson, and we had J.J. Watt, we had Brooks Reed, and we had Jonathan Joseph. Yeah, we had a good team. But I never, ever, ever, ever saw Matt Schaub as ice-cold veins, as being clutch when it came down with about a minute and a half left, with maybe a timeout, no timeouts, for him to win it for the Houston Texans. I never saw Matt Schaub as that guy. I never saw any of our other quarterbacks as that guy. I didn't see it in Deshaun Watson. Now, I did like Deshaun Watson when he first did come out because I did see him when he played for Clemson, and he did beat Alabama. But college is college, and NFL is NFL. But right now, we got the head coach, D'Amico Ryans. Looks like he's an elite coach. Not only is he an elite coach, but he played for the Texans as a leader on that defense. So we got the head coach and we got the quarterback. We got the quarterback. We got that guy. We got, whoa. And people all across the country is now seeing what we've been seeing all year. Now they're starting to see what C.J. Stroud is all about. Because obviously they were able to see him on the NFL, the red zone, whenever we score, whatever. But there was no primetime games until that last week of the season when we went at Indy. That was probably the first glimpse of fans outside of Houston actually watching C.J. Stroud. And not just watching C.J. Stroud, but watching this team on offense, defense, special teams. Seeing the chemistry. Seeing how everybody's rooting for each other. For example, Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is not... He was the main running back last year as a rookie. But he wasn't the same... He wasn't the same player this year. But Singletary, who we got in free agency from Buffalo, he stepped up. Whether it was Bobby Slowick's system that he caught on more or whatever. But he is rooting for Singletary and the rest of the team. Same as C.J. Stroud, even whenever he's not on the field and the defense is making plays, like whenever Steven Nelson got that pick 6, you could see C.J. Stroud jumping off the bench and the other players on offense. This team loves each other. They're all rooting for each other. And shout out to all y'all that were there this Saturday. I was with my boy JR the Star. We're at Bombshells. And we were watching the game at Bombshells in Pearland. Shout out to Bombshells. I haven't been there in a while. The energy was electric. I could hear all you fans from the jump. Usually, even whenever you have a good crowd there on Kirby, usually most of y'all are still tailgating or whatever. But I can hear you, H-Town. I can hear all you fans making noise from the freaking jump. I have not heard it that loud at NRG in over a decade. The only comparison I have of how loud it was, and I wasn't even there. If any of y'all who are checking out my show or checking out my show later and y'all are at the game, please give me your take on how electric, how awesome it was. Shout out to you, Mike. Shout out to you, Matthew. Hey, I heard y'all. The only comparison I have is whenever we had that big playoff game against the Bengals and J.J. Watt got that pick 6 to really change the whole momentum of that game. It was like 2011, 2012 or whatever. It was over 10 years ago. It might have been even more electric and louder than that because it was loud. So, shout out to all you Texans fans that were there at NRG. That's what we need. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to have another home game. You know, we're going to be on the road from here on out. So, we're either playing at Baltimore or we're going to be playing at KC and then wherever else. Obviously, the Super Bowl's in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. But let's take it 1 week at a time. I'm feeling good. We have a chance. I feel like we have a chance no matter who we play, where we play. As long as we got number 7, C.J. Stroud, behind center, anything is possible. So let me give you some numbers. Like I said, we beat the hell out of the Cleveland Browns, 45-14. And it was close the first half. Texas was scoring, Browns scored, but we basically, once them back-to-back pick sixes happened, the first one was Steven Nelson, and then the other one with Christian Harris, that was a done deal. That was a wrap. Pretty much once the first pick six happened, I was feeling pretty good. Just like most of those people at Bombshells, the place went crazy. I can just imagine how loud it was at NRG. I'm going to give you some numbers. C.J. Stroud, 16 for 21 for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, was not sacked at all, no sacks. He had a rating of 157.2. Devin Singletary, even though he didn't have a lot of rushing yards, because he only had 13 carries, but he still had almost 70 yards. So he averaged about 5 yards a carry, including a one for almost 30 yards. Receiving, Nico Collins. Nico, he is the one receiver. There's been like all year, he needs to step up. Like early in the season, a lot of questions about Nico Collins. Well, he's answered those questions and then some, because Nico Collins is the one receiver, and Tank Dell, you could say 1B, because he really stepped up these last several weeks toward the end of the season, and definitely Saturday. He had 6 receptions for 96 yards. Obviously, he had that long one for 38 yards. Brevin Jordan, he had that 1 reception for 76 yards. Ran it all the way to the house. You can see that he's got some speed. If he gets an open field in front of him, he's got the speed. He ain't like Tank Dell, but he's got good speed for his size. Again, Dalton Schultz. Another touchdown for him. Xavier Hutchinson, he had a couple of receptions for 12 yards. Defensively, Christian Harris. Christian Harris has been an animal. He's been an absolute monster since coming back the last several weeks. Derek Stingley. Sting. You're showing now, not just H-Town, you're showing the country why the Texans and Nick Caserio picked you number 3 last year, the year before. Now we're really seeing what Derek Stingley's all about, because he shut down Amari Cooper. He shut him down. I think the only time Amari Cooper had catches on Saturdays whenever Stingley was not on him one-on-one, because they had Stingley on Amari Cooper most of the game, but they also had him on Njoku, who obviously had that one big play also. I mean, all around, huge team victory on offense, defense. I love our punter, Cameron Johnston. I know he doesn't get talked about because he's just a punter, but we got one of the best. We have an elite punter. You're averaging 50 yards a kick and pinning them deep behind that 20-yard line consistently, you're doing your damn job. So, I don't know how y'all feeling. It's a little chilly out there. I know it's a little cold out there. So what other games do we have? We had, we kind of briefly talked about Miami and the Chiefs. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't watch that game, but I figured the Chiefs were going to win. And then the Obviously, we took care of business against the Browns. The Lions and Rams game, that was the close game. I put money on the Lions against my homeboy, but that game could have gone either way. I'm gonna say this right now. If it wasn't for C.J. Stroud, Nakua from the Rams, he would definitely have been Rookie of the Year because that dude's an absolute beast. He had almost 200 yards receiving, 9 receptions for 181 yards. So happy for Detroit. It's been like 32 years. It's been over 3 decades since the Detroit Lions won a playoff game. What were you doing over 30 years ago? I was in high school. I'm 48 years old. The last time the Lions won a playoff game, I was in high school. And a lot of the people, young cats, if you're not even 30 years old, you weren't even alive yet. Barry Sanders was still playing. Think about that. They had all the Detroit legends there. They had Barry Sanders. They had Eminem there. All of them. So, I'm so happy for Detroit. No, I'm not from Detroit. I'm not a Lions fan. But as a Houston fan, I can kind of empathize. I can feel their pain. Because H-Town, we know about heartache. We know about heartbreak. We know about losing a tough one. I remember them Oilers back in the day. I'm not talking about them, what they ended up being, the fake Oilers over there in Tennessee. I'm talking about the Oilers back then. I know the pain. Being a Rockets fan. Astros, even though the Astros have been doing pretty good. But they could have won a couple more World Series, in my opinion, including this past year. But we're not here to talk baseball. But my point is, Detroit, I'm happy for you, Detroit. 30-something years, 32 years since you won a playoff game. And now look at them now. They don't have to go on the road because Dallas choked. Dallas choked again. They had the 2 seed. All they had to do was beat Green Bay. And they probably would have had another. No, they would have had another playoff game at home until they probably played San Francisco on the road. But now since Dallas is out, Detroit is the next best seed. So now Detroit is either going to be playing Tampa Bay or the Eagles at home. So I think the Lions, I'm not counting out the Lions at all. Now, we'll say when that time comes, more than likely they're going to be playing San Francisco. They're going to be ready. They're going to be ready for them in San Francisco. But how about them Packers, though? How about Jordan Love? Not only does H-Town have a quarterback, but Green Bay, man, y'all like on a roll. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Y'all got that Aaron Jones at running back. Y'all got some playmakers at wide receiver. Christian Watson, Dubs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Dubs or Doobs. Man, y'all got some playmakers, man. And y'all got some playmakers on defense. But I'm gonna say right now, the 49ers are a whole nother animal. They're not gonna choke like the Cowboys did. I don't know what that happened over there, but yeah, they're definitely gonna be getting new coaches, new head coach. Mike McCarthy, I would be shocked if Jerry Jones keeps Mike McCarthy a head coach. And then for him to say, "Oh, we weren't ready," you can't say that, man. This is playoffs, man. You might be able to say that in a preseason game or whatever. You cannot say our team wasn't ready. with all the history with the Cowboys, all their expectations, them having the 2 seed, even before they had a 1 seed a while back. They've had good seeds, and they lose at home. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but it's just mind-boggling that they lost at home to the Packers. Not just them losing, but how they lost. Because that score, 48-32, it wasn't even that close. Because at one time the Packers were up 27-0 on these fools. And me and my homeboys, we were enjoying that. Oh my God, we're enjoying that. So now we got 2 more games. I think one is going on right now. And we got Pittsburgh and Buffalo playing right now. No score right now. It's in the first quarter. You got about 9 minutes left in the first quarter. Buffalo has the ball. And then tonight, obviously, we're going to have the Eagles and Buccaneers. So I got Buffalo winning this one. So like I said, I think the Texans are going to be playing at Baltimore. And then the Eagles and Buccaneers, I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay beats the Eagles, because the Eagles have fallen apart. They fell apart like the Jaguars fell apart. The Eagles at one time had 1 loss. I think they're like 9-1 or 10-1. And I think they lost like 5 out of 6 of their last games, like the Jaguars did. Baker Mayfield's... I'm not going to say Baker Mayfield is an elite quarterback, but Baker Mayfield's a pretty good quarterback. And they got some receivers. They got that one out of A&M. You know what I'm talking about. Mike. They got some weapons. I think they're going to beat the Eagles. I do. I think they're going to be playing at Detroit. So, anyways... H-Town, it's been a while. I just haven't done this in a while. Tell me how you feel. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm getting ready to go watch this, the Steelers and Buffalo Bills. I appreciate all of y'all checking out my show. I'm feeling very, very positive. Like I said, I have not felt this good as a Texans fan ever. Never, ever, ever, and ever, ever, and ever, ever, never felt this good. Because we never had a quarterback and a head coach like this. So, anyways, H-Town, stand up.